these folks just follow you around and find out all the mistakes you make. They nitpick. And so, between the Old and the New Testament, there were 400 silent years, and all these groups came along. And in verse number 1 of chapter 5, Jesus said, and seeing the multitude, that is, these people were sick and tired of all the rules. Now, let me tell you something. Rules without relationships lead to rebellion.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
If you're going to have rules for your children and rules in your home, you have to have a relationship with those people. The reason my son does what I say is because I have a relation. I hang out with my son. We do things together. I hang out with my wife. We do things together. So when I say, honey, son, would you do this? They don't rebel because I have a relationship. So rules without a relationship leads to rebellion. Rules with a relationship leads to reward. And that's why Jesus Christ doesn't give a whole lot of rules. The Bible is not a book of rules, it's a book of principles. Okay, so verse 1 says, and seeing the multitude, he went up into a mountain. Now, went up into a mountain, because there were so many people, he went up into a mountain to get the elevation, to talk to the people. Did you know that sound travels down and not up? It's harder to talk up to a person than it is to talk down. When I say down, I'm talking about in elevation, not down in posture, attitude. So he went up to a mountain. That's why we have a pulpit in the church. We get this from the book of Ezra when Nehemiah, after building a wall, Ezra and Nehemiah stood on a platform to read the scripture, to rededicate the wall. That's where we get the pulpit from. And by the way, there's nothing holy about the pulpit.
I say that.
At our church, sometime I have the ladies come and read the announcements from the pulpit. Trust me. If there's anything holy about this, everybody up here going to hell. Well, we can respect the position. But it's nothing, don't let the kids run by there. Lightning going to strike them. Well, if it's because of their waywardness, it struck me a long time ago. Because there aren't any perfect people. Now, it's okay to respect position, but it's really nothing. But that pulpit is nothing holy about the pulpit. Nothing at all. Actually, so many of us in church, we worship the items rather than the Creator.
All right.
One Sunday, one Wednesday, I deliberately did this to see how the people would respond. You know, a communion table?
Oh, yeah.
I went over to the communion table and I did this.
Did they push you off?
I said, does this bother anybody? A couple of them said, yeah. I said, trust me, it is not, this table has no problem. It's what the table represents. I'm one of God's representatives. So if I sit on this table, if I'm tired, and I need to sit on this table, I'm going to sit on this table. One time when I got the Bible that was on the table and took it up to the pulpit to read, oh, no, you can't touch that Bible. That has a special blessing. It doesn't. We need to worship God. Now, don't misfile what I'm saying. We need to respect God's house. But we should not worship the things in the house. There was a lady that gave us some flowers that had been there for 20 years. The flowers were tired. They had bent over. And I said, because we were on TV, I said, somebody need to move those flowers, because I saw myself on TV, and the flowers was like they didn't even want to hear the sermon. I said, somebody needs to move those flowers. No, Sister So-and-so gave those flowers 20 years. So, look, somebody needs to move these flowers. So we moved them. And it was pretty good on television now. But when we moved them, she goes, who moved the flowers? I went on and said, ma'am, I appreciate you giving us the flowers 20 years ago. I didn't see it like that. But I appreciate you giving us the flowers. But, we've kind of grown. We're trying to enhance the beautification of the church. And, they don't use flowers from 1915. These, I don't know when the last time they had plastic roses. multitudes, he went up into a mountain, and when he was set, now, oh, I'm sorry. This is, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. It says when he was set. You know, in Catholicism, the Catholic faith, when the priest is standing up, now listen to this. When the priest is standing up, and this is where Catholics get this from. When the priest is standing up, what he's saying you can take with a grain of salt. But when the priest is sitting down, he is ex cathedra. Without error. Which is a lie. And notice when the priest is giving his yearly sermon, he's sitting down. And when the priest is sitting down, Catholics believe that everything the priest is saying is directly from God, ex cathedra, without error. And they get this from Jesus in the Old Testament, because in the Old Testament, in the Bible days, the rabbis would often sit down to teach. And when they sat down, they were sitting in the position of authority. And so when Jesus is sitting down on this mountain, he's following the tradition of the Old Testament of sitting down as a rabbi, sitting in a position of authority. But he is the only one who would have authority. Others would not. And so it says when he was set, and look here, his disciples came unto him. This refers to the 12, and it refers to everybody else. This is not just referring to the 12 only, because if you go to chapter 7, verse 28, it refers to a whole group of people. And it says, his disciples came unto him, and verse 2, and he opened his mouth, and taught them, saying. Now the phrase he opened his mouth points out that in order to get people, in order to spread the gospel, you've got to say something. You got to open your mouth. You've got to open your mouth. We can talk about everything, and we talk about football. We talk about, who the Cowboys have drafted this year. But when it comes to talking about Jesus, most men freeze up. Just like women tell the president, I know you're the important man. Tell the president you're in with Pastor Young. But for example, women don't have a problem saying I love you, but a man, I love you. We can't say it because of our pride gets in the way. But in order to be an effective witness for the Lord, you have to open your mouth. And, by the way, preaching and teaching the word, when I teach homiletics, preaching and teaching the word is a speech event. Now, technology can take care of a lot of things, but technology can never take place of preaching of the word of God. There has to be a speech event. I went over to a church some time ago where they didn't have a choir. All the music was on computer. I said, whoa. The music was on the computer. The choir was on computer. All they did was push the button and a song came, and the folk got up and clapped, and it was a choir full of folk. I got up, I said, now, y'all don't have a button to push for the preacher, do you?